things that happens when you have malaria is fever and chills and just generally feeling crappy. So he read that and he was like, huh, that's really interesting that that plant, that concoction made from that plant was able to alleviate the symptoms of what this person was feeling. And so he, being the genius that he was, kind of extrapolated that and started doing experiments on him and his family. His family were kind of his guinea pigs at the time. And so he made like a mother tincture of the cinchona bark, drank it in a tea, and he was able to produce in himself, as a healthy person, he was able to produce the symptoms or like the feeling of having fever and chills from drinking that tea. And so, to just kind of compress a lot of other information and stuff, he kind of discovered that when you have the healing powers of like different plants or whatever the substance is, when you ingest that or whatever as a healthy person, it can produce the same symptoms in what will heal the symptoms of a sick person, right? So if someone has chills and fever, by them using that cinchona bark, it alleviated those symptoms. So that is kind of in a nutshell, literally the kind of the process that began this whole process. And so because homeopathy is not herbalism, a lot of the remedies are made from herbs, but it is not herbalism. What happens is when you have your gross substance, say you have the cinchona bark or you have the arnica flower or whatever like remedy you're making, you are diluting that many, many, many times. So something that is like a 200C potency has been taken. So you have your mother tincture, and then you take 1 drop of that, put it into like 99 drops of alcohol, and that is a 1C. So then you take 1 drop of that 1C, put it in 99 drops of alcohol, that's 2C. In between each of those, they are succussing, which means shaking pretty rapidly the mixture. And that is basically over the course of time. So with 200C, that's been done 200 times. So there's literally nothing left of any of the toxic properties, because like this one I'm holding right here is arsenicum album. It's made from arsenic. Obviously, arsenic is not something you ingest. But when you take it and dilute it and potentize it, it becomes a very healing remedy. And some of the same symptoms that it would produce in its gross form, like if you ingested arsenic, you would have like very bad burning in your stomach. It would probably eat through your stomach lining and would cause a lot of digestive issues. Well, in the homeopathic form, that's what it helps, among a lot of other things. But that's kind of the basic gist of it. So one of the things too that as homeopathy kind of spread, he had a lot of other doctors who were coming alongside of him because they were like, oh my gosh, you're able to help these people actually heal. It wasn't suppressing their symptoms. It wasn't just putting a Band-Aid on something. They were actually healing. And the way that it works is that homeopathy gently stimulates your body's natural healing abilities. We were created to be able to be self-healing organisms or individuals, right? That's how our bodies were designed. And so like when you compare homeopathy to like an allopathic drug, homeopathy is a very gentle and polite way of introducing a healing nudge into your body. It's not like a drug that's going to come in, break down the door and be like, I'm here to take over. And, and then it suppresses the symptoms. If you are in a house and your smoke alarm is going off, do you go and hit the smoke alarm with a broom handle to make it shut up? Or do you kind of investigate and see like, hey, where's this smoke coming from? Is there a fire somewhere? So that is kind of a little difference between an allopathic drug and the way homeopathy works. It's very gentle and it just stimulates your body's natural abilities. Sometimes we need a little push or a little nudge to get that cycle going. So at one point in time, homeopathy was super popular. It was used all around the world. It's been used in every single country in the world. And other than the United States, it's still widely used, whether it's in South America, in Europe, in Africa, Asia, wherever. They all understand and know, and it's just kind of a part of their medical system. Whereas here in the United States, starting in like the 20s and 30s, when the pharmaceutical companies started getting a little more traction, they started suppressing homeopathy and going after other forms, obviously, of natural healing, such as chiropractic and things like that. But it was very popular for quite a while. Most of the there was, over 200 hospitals throughout the United States they were medical doctors, but they also had homeopathic training. And there were mental institutions that used homeopathy. And so rather than trying to suppress, psychiatric symptoms and things, they were actually able to heal their patients and things. So because of that suppression, and a lot of times when I ask people, like, what do you think homeopathy is? People are like, oh, it's home remedies, or it's, they act like I'm making this in my basement or something. And it also can a lot of times get lumped into just holistic health products. But what you guys are using in these drops is not a supplement. And I really want to make that clear. What you're using is a combination remedy of some very very powerful medicines. And the reason that it helps so many people is because they were very wisely chosen remedies, right? Maybe another time we can kind of go through individually and talk about them, but the combination of these remedies address a wide range of symptoms. And combo remedies are also in things like, I don't think I have a box here, but if you've ever used like cold calm or allergy calm from Boiron or oscillococcinum when you have the flu, those are also combination remedies where there's, a few remedies put together that are chosen by homeopathic pharmacists. And so they know, like, hey, this over here is going to handle this symptom. This is going to tackle this symptom, and this is going to do this. Let's put them together and make it easier for people, because not everybody can go to school and learn homeopathy. So really quick too, one of the little differences between the type of homeopathy that I practice and what some people might call classical homeopathy is the type that I do is called practical homeopathy. And it's kind of just how the name sounds. It's much more practical. And this isn't a slam against anybody who uses classical homeopathy or has a classical homeopath as their, as part of their team or anything like that at all. It's just that it's a much simpler system. So practical homeopathy is based on protocols. These protocols were developed by medical doctors who their family has been practicing homeopathy for over 150 years. And it's a family called the Banerjees, and they're based in India. And so all through these years, this 150 years of practice, what they found was that there are remedies that work generally for a large portion of the population. So most of their protocols act on between 80 and 85% of the population. And that's a huge number. Like, drug companies wish they could have an 80 to 85% effective rate on their drugs, right? They would dream about that. But what they did was they noticed over time that, what, all these people that came in that had knee pain or had arthritis or had kidney stones or had whatever ailment they were, having to go to the doctor about, these certain remedies helped most of the people. And then for those that it maybe didn't act fully on, they developed second and sometimes even third line remedies. And so the school that I went to, the woman who is the owner of it, she actually studied with this family in India for over 8 years, going back 8 different times, I should say, for 2 or 3 months at a time, learned all of this stuff and was granted permission to teach it to us. And so the Banerjee doctors were like, we really want to get this information out to the medical community and the doctors, because this is such a life-changing thing. And that's what we want to do. And Joette Calabrese is the lady that I'm speaking of. She was like, that's awesome. And like, God bless you. But what I want to do is I want to get this in the hands of the moms and the grandmas and the caregivers and men too. But generally speaking, most of the time, women tend to be the caregivers in their families. We do have guys who are in the academy and who are taking part in all of that, and that's amazing. But generally speaking, so that has been her mission, and her goal is to get this information into the hands of everyday people, because it is something that you can learn. It doesn't mean that you never have a need for a homeopath. It doesn't mean that you never need a helping hand, to come alongside you and maybe help you with a really tough case. But I have 2 business partners that I'm working with, and what we are doing is kind of carrying on Joette's mission, and also getting this into the hands of people who can then, it helps you avoid hospital visits or urgent care visits for some of those little things. You don't need to run every time your kid has a sore throat, or, every time there's a bump or a bruise. You can, you can treat that at home. And so it's just helping put a lot of freedom back into your medical choices. Obviously, there's times, like she kind of jokes, she's always like, if I get hit by a Zamboni, please take me to the hospital, let them set my leg, and then I will be taking arnica and some vitamin. So it's not that we never need medical care. Sometimes we need surgery, sometimes we need stitches, whatever it is. But there are so many things that you can just handle with some knowledge and some education, and go from there. The remedies, like within the drops, like I said, are a really great combination. And because so many people have thyroid dysfunction, so many people have gut issues, those are some of the reasons why that combination works so well for everybody. So I don't know, like, does anybody have any questions or anything that I could try to answer? And like open the chat. There was somebody was asking, like, what's the difference between homeopathy and a supplement? That's actually a really great question, and I should probably address that. So a supplement is something that you take to fill an emptiness or a void in your nutrition, right? So like you might take vitamin C because, oh, I didn't eat enough citrus this week or whatever. But the problem with supplementation is that, first of all, I feel like it's kind of been, the whole supplement industry has kind of been infiltrated by big pharma, right? If you think that they're not going to get on board and be making millions of dollars from all of the supplements that everybody is taking handfuls of every day, you're mistaken, because they are. So a lot of their supplements are made by them. They're full of fillers. They're full of, all kinds of weird ingredients. So my thinking, and I was one of those, like I was taking 30 supplements a day because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get this, so I better take this supplement. I don't want to have this problem later, so I better take this one to prevent it. And so, you end up with this, bowl of supplements that you're trying to choke down every day. It's ridiculously expensive if you're buying quality supplements that are actually maybe made from food and have some actual healing good properties to them. It gets very expensive. And so the difference is that homeopathy, you want there needs to be pathology. You don't take homeopathy in almost every instance. There are a couple exceptions to that, but we'll leave that for another time. So you're not going to take arnica because you might get a headache tomorrow. You would take arnica, if you developed a headache, and then you would, take it until it ended. So it's a very different concept as far as, you're not taking things preventatively in homeopathy. The other thing that we have really been, we actually did an episode on our podcast of this last night, and we were talking about how, the holistic world really pushes a lot of supplements, and it doesn't mean there's never a time for it. When somebody is, healing and recovering from something, your body might need that extra boost. And there are definitely things that can be addressed and healed with supplementation, like with proper supplementation. But the thing is, what happens is that when someone tells you, like, okay, instead of taking Synthroid, you're going to take this Naturethroid, right? And it's natural. But guess what? You still need a prescription for that. And if you need to have that for a short time until your thyroid heals, that's great. But if you're one of those people like my friend who was told, no, you're going to have to be on this the rest of your life, what it's doing is it's taking over the job of what your thyroid is supposed to be doing, right? So it's going to basically make you dependent upon the system again. And I know that there were times when you couldn't get that supplement because they stopped making it. So now what? You don't have thyroid production in your body, you're going to die. It's kind of important. So with homeopathy, when you're taking a supplement, and one of the remedies in the drops is, I think it's thyroidinium, it's there to help encourage your thyroid to work properly, right? It's there to stimulate that and to give it a little nudge and be like, hey, you need to get up and do your job. And then once it starts working, you can stop that. These drops aren't meant to be taken for the next 40 years, right? They're meant to bring balance back. And then your body is healing, as opposed to just kind of putting a Band-Aid on it, whether it's a natural Band-Aid or, an allopathic Band-Aid. So again, you want to wait. You don't take them preventatively, and you want to make sure there's a pathology, and then you stop it when whatever symptom it is that you're addressing, when it ends. So you're not going to take oscillococcinum because you might get the flu. You're going to take it if you start to develop symptoms. You start getting a fever or chills and you start feeling nauseous. That's when you would start taking that. So does that kind of answer that question? The
So I
name of
found something super cool in terms of dosing yourself and things like that. You guys, I don't know if you know this, Heather, you can go into Chat GPT now and you can say, generate me a questionnaire to identify a one dose homeopathic remedy that would be best suited for me. And it'll give you like this questionnaire. And I went through the other day and filled it out for everything. And then it was like, okay, your one homeopathic remedy that would be best suited for you was Nux vomica 30. And I was like, man, this is pretty accurate. And when I take that remedy, I feel so level and like my cravings reduce. It's really profound. So, have you ever used Chat GPT for that? Anything? Well, you're probably because you're a homeopath, you don't need it. But I guess kind of like the normal person, if anybody ever wants to play around with that, that was fun to be able to do that. And I did one for my son too, and it was sulfur, which was what he was muscle testing for. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, I personally wouldn't use that approach, but um, because I feel like there needs to be education. That's kind of my big thing, is that there needs to be education. This is medicine, right? And it's generally safe. But I kind of hesitate to do things like that. First of all, Chat GPT can make mistakes. That's also a much more classical approach where you're looking for a simillimum. You're looking for the one remedy that can like fix all of your problems. And I don't mean that the Nux didn't work for you. It obviously did, but that's also a very hit and miss thing. Um, with that. So with acutes, a lot of times it's fine, but when you're working like on a more chronic condition, um, it tends to have a little bit more involvement because there's underlying conditions. So another aspect to that is a lot of times with the practical homeopathy, I like to have even though I don't use allopathic medicine, sometimes having an allopathic diagnosis is a little more helpful even than having like a naturopathic or functional medicine diagnosis. Because if you go to a functional medicine doctor and you're like, hey, my stomach bothers me, there's a lot of foods that I can't eat, I have inflammation, whatever, they're gonna be like, oh, you have leaky gut, right? They're going to diagnose you with leaky gut. Well, what does that mean? What does that even mean? Right? If you lined up 10 people with a diagnosis of leaky gut, you could have 10 different symptom sets. And so homeopathy really hones in. If this person here is experiencing Hashimoto's symptoms because it's attacking their thyroid, then we're going to do a thyroid, protocol with them. If someone else is having, like constipation, diarrhea issues, we're going to address that. If someone is having food sensitivities and allergies, we're going to address that. So again, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. If you want to go that route, that's 100% your decision, of course. But again, it is a system of medicine. And I feel like there just needs to be a little bit of education and knowledge around that, because my main concern is that I don't want homeopathy to like if someone does that and then it doesn't pick them the right remedy, or it doesn't address the situation that they have, they're gonna be like, oh, this stuff doesn't work, you know? So it's kind of a balancing act as far as like getting the word out to people that yes, this stuff is amazing. There's so many remedies that can help with all of the things. I mean, even super serious things that, we've seen amazing results from. Um, but like we kind of Joette will always joke, she's like, you don't just take remedies willy-nilly. You don't just like throw the kitchen sink, because there's a little bit of like skill when it comes to learning. Like you don't need to take a separate medicine for every single symptom that you have. You're going to look for the one that best fits, and maybe it will, cover two or three symptoms at the same time. So for instance, if you had stomach issues and you also had some skin issues and you had anxiety, arsenicum album might be a really great option for you. Um, and so it's just a matter of, educating yourself a little bit. My partners and I, we have a business. Our business is called Simple Hopeopathy. And we have a podcast that's free, and we also have a membership that you can join to just learn more things like that. But I just encourage everybody to take a look and, see if that's something that you're interested in. And the name of the school, I started to say, Cassie was asking, it's called the Academy of Practical Homeopathy. And it is a year of fire hose information. It's a lot. It really could have been a 2-year program. It is a ton of information, but Joette is amazing. And she's been a homeopath for almost 40 years. So she started out classical. She's now become, moved to the practical side of thing. It's actually her thing. So it's just been really, it's been such a great experience to learn from here. I just started the 2nd year last week. So I'll be learning a lot more about case management and stuff. I do see a question here. It says, will homeopathy work with someone who's on antibiotics and pharmaceuticals? The answer to that is yes. Homeopathy has no known side effects. It will not interfere with any pharmaceutical product or over-the-counter product that someone may be taking. It won't stop the action of them. It kind of
I'm fine. I seriously.
the reverse of that is kind of true sometimes, where there are certain drugs that can kind of slow the action of a homeopathic remedy, but it doesn't interfere with that. I mean, I would probably try to space them a little bit, but I have a lot of clients who are on a lot of drugs, and like their goal is to eventually get off of them. And so what we do is we take their case and we figure out a schedule for them, and they start taking those remedies alongside of their current medications. And as their body heals, they work with their doctor to start reducing, the levels of those prescriptions that they're taking. You would never just stop. You would never do that. You would never just stop your drugs and start taking homeopathy. I generally have people be on them for at least a month, sometimes 2, before we even have that conversation with their doctor. So you want to give the body time to start that healing process before you do that. But then you do need to monitor it, because if you're taking a protocol for high blood pressure and you're on high blood pressure medication, as your blood pressure starts to normalize, you're going to need to tell your doctor, hey, my blood pressure has been a lot better. I've been taking this. I want to start, like reducing my dose so that it's not going too low. So you do need to monitor and work with your doctor on things like that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Heather, for all that amazing information. We appreciate you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Emily, do you want to go into all of what you want to share next?
Sure. And then I saw some people want your website, Heather. So put that in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah, please share all the information you have for us.
Okay, so what I do, well, I just call it energy healing because I have a bunch of different certifications. I started with emotion code and body code, so I think I'll talk about that first, and I'll just kind of try to wrap up how it works in a nutshell for you guys. So when we go through negative emotional experiences, we don't usually process that energy because it's uncomfortable. So what happens is, well, I guess I should talk about energy. When I refer to energy, I'm talking about mainly like negative emotions. There's other energy too that comes trapped, but the bulk of what I clear from my clients are negative emotions. And they build up in our bodies over time. And they become our triggers, how we act, how we react in situations, how we view ourselves, how we view others, blocks to things we want in life, physical pain, physical health problems, you name it. So, what I do is I connect with your subconscious mind. That's your body's supercomputer. It knows the reasons for all of your imbalances, and it remembers everything that's ever happened to you in your spirit. So, I connect with that part of you, and I just use muscle testing and charts and intuition to identify energy that's causing whatever issue it is you want to work on. And then I clear it for you. So, in a way, it's like hacking a computer, except I have permission. And I go in and I clear out stuff that's causing the discomfort, and people feel better. So, I also learned how to work on large groups of people at one time. So Susan asked me to offer a clearing for everybody here today, and I'm more than happy to do that. You guys got to tell me what you want to work on though. Like, what is the group? Are we wanting to work on clearing some weight? Or we want to work on balancing our thyroids? Like, what does everybody want to do today? You guys can put it in the chat. Weight. Okay, Jamie says weight. Let's work on weight. Okay. And then I also have a week-long group clearing coming up specifically for weight release. And it has 2 people on our team are also collaborating with me, where you get a group clearing every day for 7 days. On Tuesday, Stephanie Galvin is an amazing breathwork coach. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's just a really great way to breathe and move energy through your body. She's going to be doing a live on Tuesday. And then Tommy is a motivational speaker. He's going to be doing a mindset on Thursday. So if anybody wants to join that, just feel free to contact me and I can get you set up for that healing. So I guess today you guys want to work on weight. So let's, I'll activate a clearing now for that. You know what? I think what I'm getting for the group is a lot of us don't feel totally safe to clear weight. So traumas and things like that, also toxins, pathogens are stored in fat. Specifically, toxins are stored in fat. And sometimes our bodies don't really feel safe to clear that weight out. So I'm going to start with block, sabotage, and resistance to losing weight, and just feeling safe to lose weight too. So I'm going to activate clearings for that for the group. Okay, now I'm going to do one for safety. I'm also hearing there's a lack too for those of you who have a hard time giving up your favorite foods. I'm gonna bring the group's lack consciousness. It's like maybe like a 4 out of 10 happy. I'm gonna bring that to a 10 out of 10 happy. Okay, that feels good. What else? Sugar cravings I'm hearing for the group. I'm gonna activate, what is it? The group's sweet tooth consciousness. Like a 1 out of 10. All right, I'm going to bring that to a 10 out of 10. Okay. Does anybody else have a special request for today?
Emily, I feel like, I don't know, I just intuitively hear that there's several people here struggling with alcohol, like that alcohol really keeps derailing some people here.
Okay,
So
yeah.
maybe if kind of like clear around the addiction, like the
Addiction
addiction and
consciousness.
specifically to alcohol.
So
And maybe you can talk a little bit about why people wouldn't feel safe um to lose weight. Like I've got some scenarios. I've worked over the years with people in these type of sessions, and they may be in like a really toxic marriage. So for example, they feel that if they have this extra weight, this is like protection to make their husband right, not that into them. Or they've gotten, maybe they've been violated at some point in their life, and so they feel like they need that extra protection, so as they shed the weight, then they get more attention to men from men, and that really doesn't feel safe. So there's a lot of things like that that we're doing subconsciously that we keep sabotaging. Or sometimes there's an event that happens. Say your goal weight is 135 pounds, but say that you had an event happen to you when you weighed 140 pounds. So you never can really get below that 104, 142, for example, because there's something in your subconscious saying, oh no, right, when I get to that weight set point, this could happen to me again. So there's a lot of that is stored in the subconscious. Does anybody have anything like this going on that you want to share with the group? It's always great when people are vulnerable and kind of give somebody like Emily a little bit to work with, because I know you got something. I'm like, I know you got something, people. Everybody's just mute.
I guess I kind of do, Susan.
Perfect. Who is this?
Cat.
Oh, Kat. I love Kat. Hey, girl.
Hey. So I lost a lot of weight back in 2017 and I weighed like 113 pounds.
Okay.
But around that time I was in a really toxic marriage, like uh mentally, physically, emotionally abusive. And so I went through a lot, during that time, like during my weight loss journey at that point. And then after I met my current husband and we had kids and everything, then I really struggled to get the weight off after my second baby. Well, even after the first, but it did come off a little bit after the first. But after the second, I really struggled to get it off.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And as you're saying that, Kat, it just came into me like when I got into the 120s 2 different times, you guys, and I don't know if there's any correlation at all to this, but I just heard this, Emily. For me, um, I had pretty severe seizures. And so I wonder if there's some things with my subconscious right now saying it's not really, and every time I'll get to like 135, 134, and then it's like I start sabotaging. It's something that kicks up. And so I wonder if there's something there for Kat that right whenever she weighs like a lot less, or when I'm in the under 130, I wonder if I have a fear that I'm really going to start having seizures again.
Oh yeah, fear consciousness. I could bring that up.
Okay, I bet a lot of people have that fear
Like a
conscious.
3 out of 10 for the group. I'll bring
Okay.
that up. And then these aspects of consciousness I'm talking about, our subconscious mind isn't just like one mind, it's created of all of these different parts. So it's really important to look at these different parts of ourselves because they could be at war with each other. That's why maybe one day, you'll be doing great. You'll be eating all the foods on the foods list, you'll be working out, you'll be doing all the right things. And that's because maybe your higher self acknowledges you need to be healthy, you need to do these things to be healthy. But then maybe the next day you just want to lay in bed and eat cake all day. And it's like, why does that happen? It's because your grief consciousness or some other part of you thinks you need cake and sleep to grieve or cope with something you're going through. So those two parts of yourself are at war with each other. So what I like to do is just make them both 10 out of 10 happy so everybody can just be on the same page within you, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I'll bring everybody's fear consciousness up. Anything else?
Somebody's saying, so Cassie's says, I just realized that I do have a fear of wealth. And then, so you can work on that a little bit. I
You want
think
to go
there's a
into
lot.
money? We want to go into money a little bit?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that. And then Denise says, I'm stuck with wealth.
Well,
Denise, you want to unmute? I'm stuck with wealth
money.
and not wanting to disappoint others. You want to elaborate on that?
Just my family. It's like I just always, well, I don't know how to really explain it. Don't want them to. I always want to be there for them every second. And my kids are grown, and not being able to do the things that sometimes can you do this for me? It kind of gives me anxiety, even though I'm not like really. I'm just too busy, or I'm working, or I'm doing something else, and I just can't do it. And I hate that feeling.
Okay, that's like maybe some people pleasing. Yeah. I brought the group's poverty consciousness to a 10 out of 10. I got that there was some poverty conscious there. Um, let's see.
And when she's doing that, you guys, what she's really doing is she's really like clearing in the quantum field. So all of this is quantum physics.
Beautiful.
And all of this is basically she's clearing everybody, kind of like our homeopathics, the way that they're working. They're working to clear from your emotional body, your physical body, your spiritual body, your mental body. So it's basically just going through there. And it's just, if you imagine it just being balls of trapped energy through your system, that whenever she's saying, okay, clearing it, bringing it up, it's basically opening that up so that it will release and just kind of release from your system.
I was gonna say with mine, as far as the fear of wealth, I had a situation. I used to make a lot of money for most of my life, and after my husband passed away, I was kind of vulnerable and ended up in an abusive relationship from somebody who pretty much drained every penny I had. And I after that I gained a ton of weight, and I've kind of sabotaged any income along the way. And so until you all brought that up, I didn't realize that the income part was something that I think I'm kind of like holding myself back.
I'm going to clear saboteurs. Like you said, self-sabotage, saboteurs from others. These are just like sabotaging energies that we subconsciously send each other or we send ourselves. So I'm going to clear that for the group.
How old were you when that happened, when your husband passed away?
I was 37 and I had
37.
2 babies in diapers.
Oh my goodness, honey. How old are you now?
I'm 52.
52.
Yeah. So
And how long were you in that abusive relationship?
only for 2 years, but the abuse to me was more emotional, but I found out that there was physical abuse to my kids. So there's also
Oh, honey.
there's that guilt of, and even with the business, there's a guilt associated with, and my kids, my youngest is 18 now, but there's still a guilt associated with not being there for them all the time while I'm off working the business. So yeah, there's that.
Okay.
Bring
Thanks for sharing that.
guilt. Guilt's like a 5 out of 10 for the group. I'll bring that up. Okay. I feel like I'm going to max you guys out. I cleared a lot. Make sure everybody drinks a lot of water. If you really received my clearing today, you might be tired. So if you're tired, respect that. Get some good rest. And there's a tiny percent chance you'll be emotional for a few days. Let me see what the processing period's going to be. I'm getting like 6 days. So if that happens, just be gentle with yourself. It's very small. Normally people feel really great after one of these clearings, but like it can happen. So just be gentle with yourself if that happens. You can always shoot me a text message or find me on Facebook and I'll see if there's anything I can do. But yeah, drink a lot of water. That's going to help you process the clearing. Does anybody have any other questions?
There were some questions in the chat. I was wondering if maybe we can go back and address them.
Okay.
Can you read those, Barb?
Yeah, hang on. Let me just find them. So someone said, I used to be anorexic, so I fear the scale, that I'll get obsessed with that again.
Yeah, I found that anorexia is usually some sort of like image trapped in the subconscious mind of them being like really skinny. And it takes a lot of willpower to overcome that. So maybe I can do it. Yeah, I'll do a clearing around images causing eating disorders. I'll clear those.
Thank you.
Well, and I guess too, it's one of those things like, okay, so what if you don't weigh? Like, what if you just don't weigh?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I've like kind of had that conversation with myself as well, right? Like, how do you know where you're at? Like, well, why do we need this constant, like, oh, let me check in, let me get, we just recently, a group of us went through a program and we were measuring our bodies and we were weighing and we were taking pictures. And there was a lot of triggers that came up for me
Yeah.
around that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it because, and that doesn't mean that's for everybody, but I had a history. I started having an eating disorder, you guys, when I was 10. and started bulimia when I was 12. So I realized that I still have more healing to do. Maybe one day I can do that and just have no attachment, but for today, I can't. And therefore, I don't need all these metrics to, I'm just not there. So give yourself grace, whoever has that going on. Just give yourself grace and love yourself. This is about us loving ourselves, nurturing ourselves, and developing a whole new relationship with our bodies and our minds and our spirits. And that's what is beautiful about homeopathy, because it is literally helping us shed these layers.
And I think what is so beautiful, Susan, is that ever since I've known you and ever since I've been part of Team Unstoppable, um, even just the ripple effect, even though I didn't realize how beneficial these energy clearing have been because I wasn't exposed to them before 8 months ago, 8.5 months ago, it has really shed and peeled away the onion layers in my own consciousness and subconsciousness. Because as I am hearing all of this, it doesn't matter. It's how I feel in my clothes, how I feel in my skin, never mind my clothes, right? And I'm feeling youthful again. I'm feeling vibrant again. Every layer that was on me to protect me from the scars of what I went through, okay, as a child when I couldn't protect myself. Now I'm empowering myself with the knowledge, with getting things into my body, nourishing my body, and clearing all of the subconscious things out of my organs that are trapped as energies. So that's why I love that you bring this to the table, Susan, because it is helping all of us in so many different ways. You won't even really understand the magnitude, but let me tell you, your body does, your subconscious does. It's really amazing. So thank you, Susan, for providing this for us. I know that a lot of things have shifted in my own wellness. I'd like to speak just a little bit about, you know, not that I labeled myself as an alcoholic. However, the lifestyle choices of having wine every night for 10, 12 years, that might have deemed me a title of alcoholism. I don't know. I mean, I didn't have to get sloppy drunk, but yet just drinking every night, it was harmful to my body. It was liquid sugar. And since I've been here and using these drops, I have only had one half a glass of wine in 8 months. I don't crave it. I don't crave the liquid sugars. That need to have that in my life as a lifestyle is no longer there. I've shifted that habit. So I cleared that habit. And after having 30 years of chronic autoimmune and inflammation and pain, it feels good to be healthy. So I consciously choose to nourish my body, and I love it. I love it.
Can we talk about where addiction comes from real quick? Can I tell you guys where that comes from?
Let's
Yeah.
do it. That'd be awesome.
Okay. So when we go through something that's emotionally painful, our subconscious will take trapped emotions and create this barrier around our heart to dull and numb that pain we're feeling.
Oh.
So in the moment, it's good. It's protecting your heart, right? But long term, it's not good because it keeps you dull and it keeps you numb and it keeps you from feeling anything good like happiness, joy, love. And our hearts are designed to feel those good emotions. So when we go through a prolonged period of time without feeling anything good, we become depressed and have anxiety and panic, and that's where addiction energy is born, because we become so desperate just to feel anything at all that we start reverberating with this energy, seeking something sensational or pleasurable outside of us. So yeah, so it is about clearing those emotions, those heart wall emotions, being able to feel again, feel the good emotions, just clearing that out. And then we can clear the addiction energy that's within the heart wall. So I did a lot of that for you guys today. I cleared a lot of heart wall emotions and addiction energies.
I love that. And yeah, and so if you guys want to learn more about this, if you're like, wait, what does this mean? How can I learn more? The book that we all kind of started out was a book called The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. I put the link into to Amazon if you want to check that out. But that was a huge part of, I guess I would say, like my awakening and I had chronic foot pain of 2.5 years. And I felt like every day I would wake up and I felt like somebody had smashed my feet with a baseball bat, you guys, or like I had stood on concrete for 20 hours. And this lady, yeah, it was this whole God thing of how it all came to be. But this lady got on there and did a session for me, and she was releasing all these trapped emotions that were trapped in my body from 5 years previous in this pretty toxic, abusive job that I had. And so she released these emotions, and literally, I got up, and within 15 minutes, my chronic foot pain was gone. I mean, everybody's like, oh, it's Lyme disease, it's this, it's that, it's fibromyalgia, blah, 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 blah. And literally, it was trapped emotions. And so, another thing, this is a super cool story I'll share with you. So, my little guy, Colt, he's 9. We've done a lot of like dietary restrictions and everything. And so, he's gluten free, dairy free, and sugar free. And he got pretty wound up about it for a while. Like, he just kind of kept berating me, like, Mom, why do I have to do this? And he was having a lot of resentment. So I was on my way from New Mexico, and I just heard God say, do a session on him specifically for his resentment around food, and around you wanting to control things in his life. So I just sat on the airplane. I was like, okay. So I was just finding different ages. And a lot of times it's tied back to an age that was previous years before. So I'm doing a session, and you guys, this was the coolest thing ever. I landed, and I had been in New Mexico, and I had landed, and I get a voice message, and it's his little sweet voice, and he didn't know I was doing a session for him. Mommy, I just want you to know, I hope you had the most amazing time in New Mexico. And I've really missed you. And I'm thinking about this. And I know you just really want me to be healthy. So thank you for like not letting me to have the foods that aren't good for me. Cause I know you just really love me. You guys, he has not hardly brought it up since. So that's like miraculous, right? And it was all his subconscious beliefs and all of his subconscious energies that were just stuck. So if you want a way to help your children or to help your family or to help yourself, like these modalities are just next level incredible. And I just think this is just an additional tool that God's given us, right? He said, go amongst you and heal. He said it's already in you. Like we already have all the tools. Like all we have to do is tap into our own, super consciousness and help ourselves. So, Emily, you are a next level incredible girl. I love your work. I love everything that you do and you represent. You're such a beautiful energy. And yeah, you guys, she's starting a group clearing this week. Her clearings are incredible. You just had a little taste of kind of what she's offering here. I know there's a lot of healers on this team, but Emily is amazing and she does do this full time for a living as well. So, you guys have a beautiful, beautiful week and thank everybody for your contributions. Barb, thank you for all your input. And look at Barb, you guys. She is always representing with her skinny drop button on her uniform. Everywhere this woman goes, she is representing her skinny drop. So, we love each one of you guys. Y'all are doing amazing. Reach out if there's anything you need from any of us. Teamwork makes the dream work. So we're all here to support each other. And thank you for the prayers. I'm going to miss all of you guys going to Utah. It breaks my heart, but God is like, girl, you are not going anywhere. You might as well just stay home and keep your pajamas on, girl, because you're not going anywhere. Even though I can't stand it, I got big fear of missing out. But all right, guys, everybody be well. Love you, each one of you.
We love you. Thank you
Oh,
so much, everybody. This
thanks,
was
hon.
wonderful.
Thanks,
Thank
girls.
you.
Bye. See ya.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.